The first body appeared on the outskirts of Dothan's abandoned train yard, just past the moss-covered warehouse where the locals swore ghosts lingered. The morning fog twisted through the rusted rails, wrapping the scene in a gray cocoon, and even the seasoned officers couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Detective Ethan Caldwell, mid-40s, graying at the temples, stepped over the shattered glass littering the gravel and crouched beside the body. The victim's name was never learned. No wallet, no ID, only a single black rose clutched in a skeletal hand. Ethan had seen 100 murders in his 20 years on the force, but the meticulous care in the placement, the almost ritualistic air was different. He whispered, "This isn't random." Dothan wasn't known for violence. The town prided itself on quiet streets, church steeples, and annual peanut festivals. Yet, beneath the surface, a network of secrets pulls like a dark heartbeat. Every lead on this case spiraled into dead ends. Witnesses vanished. Evidence went missing. And the local precinct, already stretched thin, was ill-prepared for the meticulous precision of the killer. By the end of the week, 3 more bodies surfaced. Each victim had the same eerie signature, a single item placed delicately on or near them, seemingly meaningless, yet somehow connected. A silver locket in one hand, a cracked mirror fragment in another, and in the most disturbing, a child's drawing beside a teenage girl sprawled near the banks of the Cocktawache River. Detective Caldwell felt the weight pressing down like the humid Alabama summer. He didn't sleep. Every night, images of the bodies haunted him, the hollowed eyes, the unnatural poses, the taunting absence of clues. "This person is watching us," he muttered to his partner, Officer Angela Ruiz. Watching every move. A break came when surveillance footage surfaced from a convenience store 2 towns over. A tall man dressed in dark clothing lingered near the store for hours before slipping into the night. But when the detectives traced him, he was gone, leaving only the faint smell of tobacco and the lingering sense of dread that had been poisoning Dothan for months. The town began to whisper. At first, it was just a murmur in the pews of the First Baptist Church, then emails to the city council, and eventually a public outcry. Dothan's citizens were terrified. Children stayed indoors after sunset. Men and women looked over their shoulders at every alleyway and dimly lit street. Detective Caldwell reviewed the cold files spanning a decade. The murders weren't new, they had just been dormant, waiting for some pattern to reemerge. Victims from years past bore eerie similarities: solitary women, left in precise arrangements, artifacts placed near their corpses as if mocking the investigators. Then came the report from an anonymous tip: a burned-out cottage on the edge of Coffee County, 5 miles from the town line. The tipster claimed that someone had been hiding something there for years, something that connected every death. Caldwell and Ruiz drove through the thick pine woods, headlights cutting through the mist, and found the abandoned structure. The cottage was decrepit, walls blackened by fire and mold, yet the air inside was unnaturally warm, almost alive. Inside, they found remnants of the killer's lair: photographs, journals, and hundreds of meticulously catalogued items. Jewelry from victims, handwritten letters, and scraps of clothing, all labeled and dated. A single Polaroid showed a masked figure standing over a victim with a red X painted across her chest. The smell of decay and antiseptic was overpowering. As Caldwell combed through the materials, his stomach twisted. The killer had nearly been caught years earlier but had managed to erase every trace. Hidden compartments under floorboards and false panels in walls held the remaining evidence. Fingerprints, hair samples, even a discarded firearm all pointed to someone who had been inside law enforcement ranks. The real shocker came in the journals. The killer named names: officers, commissioners, judges, high-ranking officials in Dothan's justice system. Pages were dedicated to each, accusing them of turning a blind eye to atrocities, participating in cover-ups, or outright enabling the crimes. Caldwell read aloud to Ruiz, voice shaking. They all knew. They all watched. It wasn't just a murderer. It was a network. A system of corruption so deep that it infected the very people who were supposed to protect the citizens. The revelation ignited an internal investigation, shaking the police department to its core. Arrests followed. Judges suspended themselves. Commissioners resigned in disgrace. But the killer remained elusive, moving from one dark corner to another, always ahead, always watching. Then came the final lead. A map hidden in one of the journals marked an old family estate near the outskirts of Dothan. Caldwell and Ruiz approached cautiously, guns drawn, and discovered a trapdoor leading to a basement. The air was thick with mildew and anticipation. In the shadows, a figure scrambled to hide evidence. Caldwell shouted, "Freeze! Police!" The man turned, face pale and contorted in panic. In his hands, he clutched photographs, a blood-stained journal, and a tiny, ornate box filled with gold and jewels stolen from previous victims. His uniform was partially hidden under a hood, but the badge was unmistakable. He had been one of the detectives on the original cases. Trusted, respected, now exposed. When questioned, he didn't flinch. Instead, he ranted about betrayal, pointing fingers at superiors, claiming the entire justice system was complicit. Caldwell noted the methodical precision in his rambling, every accusation backed by evidence, every alibi constructed yet hollow. The trial was the most shocking in Alabama history. Witnesses testified about years of intimidation, evidence suppression, and cover-ups. The killer's own documentation became the strongest evidence against him. A web of deceit, corruption, and horror was unraveling in real time. Families of the victims came forward, some in tears, some in anger, all desperate for closure. Photographs were displayed in the courthouse lobby, artifacts returned, and apologies read aloud. Yet, the horror lingered. Dothan had lost decades of innocence, replaced by an awareness of the darkness that could thrive even in small towns. Caldwell often revisited the sites of the murders, haunted by the meticulous cruelty and foresight of the perpetrator. Every corner of the city, every shadowed alley, reminded him of the victims whose voices had been silenced. He wrote detailed reports, journals, and letters, making sure the stories of the forgotten were preserved. Despite the arrest, some mysteries remained. Certain items in the cottage were never matched to victims, and some photographs depicted unknown locations and faces. The network, though exposed, had loose ends. Investigators speculated that others might still be hiding in plain sight. The sense of unease never left the town. The killer's confession, detailed and chilling, revealed a mind twisted by power, control, and resentment. Every murder was intentional, every placement symbolic. He spoke of a game with rules only he understood, a pattern meant to taunt the living and honor the dead. Even during sentencing, he smiled, knowing some secrets would remain buried forever. Today, Dothan continues to grapple with its past. Memorials have been erected near the river, in abandoned train yards, and at the outskirts where the first victims were found. Detective Caldwell, now retired, visits the sites often, speaking softly to the victims, promising their stories will endure. The public remains vigilant. Neighborhood watches, citizen patrols, and renewed community engagement have created a sense of watchfulness. Yet, the story of Dothan's cold case files serves as a chilling reminder. Evil can hide behind badges, in plain sight, and in corners where no one dares look. And for those who visit the quiet streets, listen closely. You might hear whispers of the past, the echo of a life taken, the brush of a hand across a cold window, the soft footfalls of justice long delayed. The victims are waiting, but so is the truth. Montgomery's newspapers occasionally carry updates. Cold files are revisited, and the town remains haunted. Families gather every year, lighting candles along the Cocktawache River, reminding the town that some stories cannot be forgotten. For Detective Caldwell and those who pursued the case, it was never about fame or closure alone. It was about ensuring the voices of the forgotten were heard, the evidence preserved, and the darkness confronted. The killer's capture brought some relief, yet the shadows of Dothan linger, a chilling testament to secrets hidden too long and justice delayed. Even as the sun sets over the Alabama horizon, the town remembers. The victims of Dothan are not just numbers in a file, they are lives, whispers, and warnings. And until every cold case is solved, the mystery endures.